Get out of here. You're out of your league with that low education. Don't you get it? There's no way someone as incompetent as you should be at such a prestigious party. My boss, John, looked down on me with utter contempt, smirking triumphantly. His face was so hideously smug that it left me in disgust. Understood. I'll leave just as you say, I replied. John's laughter echoed throughout the venue, with the laughter that sounded almost like screams behind me. I left the venue. I'm George, a 41-year-old office worker. I have a sister who's 5 years older than me. Our parents passed away in a car accident when I was in high school. Therefore, I've always looked up to my sister, who'd raised me in their stead. My older sister Emily is a strong woman. She always pulled me along, especially when I was a tearful kid. She would appear out of nowhere to rescue me from bullies, driving them away. Even when our parents were alive, Emily's training methods for me were intense. In our neighbourhood, she was known as a reincarnation of a famous historical figure. You appear quiet, so you need to be strong to not get pushed around, she would say. With that, she enrolled me in a wrestling club and trained me daily. I was rigorously trained by my sister, who was like a taskmaster, to the point of feeling nauseous. Because my sister was also in a sports club, she was like a demon when it came to coaching. Thanks to that physical training, I was no longer a target for bullies. This didn't change, even after our parents died. Mom and Dad are gone, but we need to be strong now. Intelligence is also important. Furthermore, my sister would daily insist on studying, and if I looked like I was about to fall asleep, she would nudge my head and scold me constantly. Under pressure, my grades, which were once failing, started improving. I believe it's thanks to my sister that I've been able to lead a stable life. Although I never quite managed to overcome my somewhat timid nature, rough and roady as she might seem, Emily always put me first. She'd give me the best part of our treats, like the part of a snack with more filling, and would make me a late-night snack when I was studying. It was a subtle kindness, but I greatly respected her for it. Because of her, I managed to get a job at my current company. Work was tough, but nothing compared to my sister's training. Working hard at the company, I achieved a respectable position, and it was my childhood friend Jessica who always supported me. You really stick with me despite my timidity, I'd say. You're not timid, you're kind, George. Avoiding conflicts and seeking peaceful resolutions is hard. That's where I've always liked you, Jessica would respond. She always supported me. She was always there, unable to leave me alone. And now she's my wife. By my side, when we decided to marry, Emily asked, "Are you sure about my scatterbrain brother?" But when alone with Jessica, she'd say with tears in her eyes, "A sister always worries about her brother. Please take good care of George." When Jessica got pregnant, Emily sent us health products and quit smoking, a habit she loved, for the baby's sake. I still feel cherished by my sister. Now she's a great aunt to my daughter. We named the baby Sarah, and she's growing up well. She's honest and loves to study. She took college entrance exams because she really wanted to pursue a specific field of study, but due to a high number of applicants, she didn't get into her desired college and is currently taking a gap year. When Sarah didn't pass the exam, she cried, but quickly shifted her focus to reapplying. "I'll work part-time to earn money for my gap year," she said. But moved by her resilience, we decided to financially support her during this time. "Thank you, Mom and Dad," Sarah said with tears, grateful, as she dedicated herself to studying. We occasionally have her join in on family events at work, hoping it helps relieve her stress. "Don't overdo it. You'll wear yourself out." "I'll be fine, Dad," she'd respond. A few hours after such conversations, I smile with my wife Jessica as we cover studying Sarah with a blanket. I've built such a happy family and am satisfied with my life. The company I work for is a great place. George, thank you. Your clear instructions make our work easier, my colleagues say. It's nice to hear that there's a friendly atmosphere in the office, with everyone helping and supporting each other. Whenever I had free time, I actively offered my help. I found joy in helping my juniors grow. Hey, you incompetent, think you're in a position to talk like that. John's arrival instantly sours the previously comforting environment. John was headhunted from his previous company and became our boss. He's particularly fixated on academic credentials. Being about 10 years younger than me and already in a position of authority, his pride seems immense. Everyone listening to this lowly educated man will only make you dumber, you know. I graduated from an elite university, John boasted. Stories from over 10 years ago. He even asks each junior about their educational background, alma mater, and if he found his to be superior, he would snicker condescendingly. If he considered theirs to be slightly prestigious, he would become irritated and even inquire about their high schools. What a waste, coming from such a good high school and ending up like this. Your parents must be so disappointed. He seems unable to rest without belittling. I've always felt that actual work performance is more important than educational background. If he has time to brag about his education and mock others, he should focus on improving his work performance. After boasting, he'd just play on his phone, which was exasperating. However, since I'm his main target, I knew he wouldn't consider my opinions. Hey, which university did you attend? Tired of his pestering, I tried to evade the question, but he persisted. Harvard University? Yale University? No, some other national or private university. No, cut it be, you're a vocational school graduate. His attitude was increasingly irksome. No, can you please focus on work instead? Just as I was about to continue, John burst out laughing. So you're a high school graduate. No wonder you can say it out loud. High school graduates aren't really decent people, are they? John burst into a fit of laughter, calling it a masterpiece. After labelling me a high school graduate, he ridiculed me fully. Even with his previously haughty attitude, he used to call me by my name. After that conversation, he started referring to me as incompetent. Well, that was still bearable, since the persistent annoyance towards the juniors was now focused on me. I thought it was better for me to take it quietly to protect them. But then it started affecting the work. Hey, incompetent, take care of this desk. Isn't this your assignment, John? And isn't the deadline tomorrow? An almost untouched project with a looming deadline was passed on to me. Despite always being on his computer, I wondered what he had actually been doing. You're incompetent, so having this much work should light a fire under you, right? Wait, this means overtime. Of course it's overtime. Consider this a drill, a growth opportunity. Be grateful to a senior who's giving you a chance. With that, John left early for a night out, leaving the task to me. It was a crucial project for a client whose trust was vital. If not completed by the deadline, it would harm our company's reputation. But the workload was too much for one person. There's no need for such harsh words. Don't worry, George. We'll help you. Don't worry. I'd have alone. It's fine if I stay up all night. At that time, my juniors, having overheard the conversation, offered their help. I was truly grateful. I informed my wife, Jessica, that I'd be pulling an all-nighter, and somehow we managed to finish the project. I felt sorry for my juniors, all of them sporting dark circles under their eyes. That's when John showed up, not to appreciate our efforts, but to yell at us. Hey, what are you doing with those foolish faces? You finished the work, right? I was too tired to be angry, and all the credit for our hard work was taken by John. Naturally, the atmosphere in the department turned tense and uncomfortable. Feeling helpless, I let out a sigh. No matter how hard I worked, only John received praise from the clients. It seemed my exhaustion was also reaching my wife. Are you okay? You've been looking pale lately. Do I look that way, Jess? You didn't come home last night, and Sarah was feeling lonely. I see. Something's bothering you. Would you like to talk about it? Weary, I ended up venting to Jessica. Actually, there's this troublesome guy who's become our boss. He's been piling work on me, but thanks to the juniors, we managed. That sounds tough. Tell me more about it. I took advantage of Jessica's kindness and talked more about John. How dare he? That's unacceptable. Jessica was angry on my behalf. I found solace in her. From time to time, I would vent to her about the days of being bullied by John. But considering my junior, I knew I had to do something. Soon, the day my patience ran out finally came. John nudged me with his elbow and started talking to me. Hey, incompetent. You have a daughter, right? A daughter. Don't play dumb. It's about your daughter who's taking a gap year. How does he know about my daughter? I remembered that he probably saw her at the company-wide barbecue we had. Despite a bad feeling, I asked Joan, "What about my daughter?" "That girl failing to get into college is just as incompetent as you. So what about it?" "Well, she's not badly looking. Consider yourself lucky. I'll take her as my wife. She can do household chores and cleaning right." I was in shock, as if struck by lightning. Daughters of incompetence like you don't have many suitors. So this weekend, host a dinner for me and introduce her. Who knows, with the right approach, she might become a good woman. In other words, John was targeting my daughter. There was no way I could allow that. Anger made my fists tremble. "If you hand over your daughter, I might talk to my uncle about promoting you. For someone like you, promotion is an honor you've never dreamed of." "There's no way that's possible." I argued back, forgetting all formalities. Who would hand over their daughter to a man nearly 20 years older? John seemed surprised that I resisted. "Incompetent, and yet you dare defy me. Brave of you." His face turned into a demonic scowl, and he walked away. His hostility towards me intensified after this incident. Jessica, more worried about my increasing workload and worsening complexion, tried to get me to talk, but I couldn't. The thought of our daughter being targeted by an older man would hurt both Jessica and Sarah. I couldn't bear the feeling of my own inadequacy. "George, join me for a drink. It's been a while," Emily said. One day at work, my sister called out to me. My sister and I worked at the same company, though we were in different departments and positions. Occasionally, she would drag me to a drink. Jessica told me a lot. "Don't make them worried, Emily." Jessica, who admired my sister, often hung out with her. They shared stories about me, even embarrassing ones from when I was a baby. Still, I was glad they got along well. Jessica told you all that. "Yeah, there's a bad apple at work, isn't there?" My sister pressed me why I hadn't confided in her sooner. Talking to Jessica makes things easier. "I know you're worried, but really, we'll get back to that. You're still hiding something, aren't you?" I flinched. I could never keep secrets from my sister. She always saw through my attempts and forcefully made me spill the beans. But this time was different. I couldn't bring myself to speak about Joan targeting my daughter. As I hesitated, my sister put me in a headlock. Despite her age, she's still as strong as ever. Ouch. Ouch. Let go, I cried. Just talk, will you? You always overthink and make things more complicated. Speak up now, or it'll get worse. I gave in and told her about Sarah being targeted. Is that so? Well, all right. Leave it to me, my sister said, her face taking on a look I had never seen before, truly fitting for a demon. Rumour has it that Johan is a notorious playboy in the nightlife scene. How could I ever give my precious daughter to such a vile man? I reaffirmed my resolve to stand against him. Hey, what is it? You know you can still change your mind. Joan approached me again, smirking meaningfully. As I've said many times, I refuse. Is he that desperate for my daughter? Then can't be helped. Maybe I should take your wife instead. What? Your wife would prefer an elite on the fast track like me over a futureless high school grad like you. How far will John go to mock me? Please stop the insults. You say something incompetent. Words don't reach my ears. Once I get your wife, maybe your daughter too, he. Seeing his vile, contemptuous face, I was overwhelmed with anger. Without thinking, I grabbed Johan. Don't you dare insult my family anymore. A junior who happened to pass by held me back. What? You low-educated incompetent, defying a high-educated superior. Remember this. You no longer have a place here. John left with those parting words. George, I understand how you feel. I would feel the same if someone said that to me, but he's not worth your trouble. I was admonished by the junior and regretted my impulsive actions. After that, I endured days of Joan's intensified harassment and nastiness. A few days later, we received news that the current president of the company was retiring and a new president would be appointed. A party was to be held for the inauguration. I'm attending the party too. Got my invitation first. Joan was unusually talkative. The new president's name was to be revealed at the party as a surprise. With my education, I'm sure to be a favourite of the new president. Once I'm in his good graces, some incompetent will be fired for sure. Joan sat back in his chair, pleased with himself. Technically, all employees were invited, but I kept quiet to avoid further comments. Joan spoke to me. All right, you better come to the event. Yes, I understand. His response was a smirk. He was definitely plotting something. On the day of the party, I had to arrive at the venue early due to some circumstances. What? No seat. I tried to confirm my seat with the hotel staff, but the response was, there isn't one. As I expressed my confusion aloud, I heard laughter from behind. It was Joanne. What a stupid look, he pointed and laughed at me. You don't have a seat. Why not? I took care of your seat. It's inappropriate for a low-educated person to be here. It's only a matter of time before you lose your real seat in the company. Such childish behaviour is unimaginable for an adult in a professional setting. Was he really this thoughtless? I was shaken by Johan's childishness. No, I've been invited too. That's what I'm saying. There's no seat for an incompetent. Don't dirty the celebration of the new president. I frowned at Johan's vulgar language, even in such a formal setting. Unless you're finally willing to introduce your daughter to me, I might consider it. I fought back the urge to retaliate, but after seeing the person behind Johan, I decided to comply with his words. I refuse about my daughter. I'll be leaving then. Johan looked surprised at my straightforward retreat. However, his expression quickly turned triumphant. Staying any longer wouldn't change Johan's mind. Tired of it all, I relaxed with a coffee in my room. But it was just a little longer to endure. Right about now, clueless Johan would be getting his comeuppance. As I leisurely sipped my coffee, I received a call from Joanne on my phone. I smiled and answered the call. Joanne's panicked voice came through. "Hey, what's this about? Come back here. What are you doing?" His voice, filled with panic, and the angry shouts leaking from the speaker, made me laugh. "You didn't expect me to be the new president announced today, did you?" Yes, the new president to be introduced at the party was me. The person who was watching me from behind Joanne was my sister. Joanne must not have noticed her at the time. Unfortunately for him, I am the new president who was to be announced at today's party. Actually, the company was founded jointly by my sister and her husband. My sister, having studied business management with a college friend who is now her husband, teamed up to start the business. The company grew rapidly under my assertive sister and my brother-in-law, who was a genius at administrative work. After the company was on track, my sister supported him from behind the scenes. He was always kind to me, and I aspired to be like him. My sister always laughed it off when talking to me, but I could tell by looking into her eyes she was truly in love with her husband. Admiring my sibling couple, I wanted to help and join the company. No special treatment because we're family. My sister didn't favour me, so I had to join on my own merits. I didn't want to be promoted easily because I was family, so I asked not to be put in a position. That's why only a few trusted people in the company knew I was the president's brother. Then one day, my brother-in-law was diagnosed with a serious illness. His surgery was necessary, but unfortunately, his physical strength was waning in his 50s. Unable to fully function as president, he decided it was unfair to the employees to continue, so he stepped back to become chairman, and a replacement was needed. I was the one chosen for the position of the new president. "You're taking over for my husband." I remember spitting out my drink when my sister suddenly told me this during a drinking session. "Wait, hold on. There must be someone more capable in the company. With my husband's condition and my upcoming business, I need someone I can trust to kick into gear." Though she put it roughly, I knew she recognized my abilities. I chuckled at her transparent attempt to hide her feelings and scratched my head. I'm no match for my sister, am I? With Sarah involved, I had to put in a nail before anything bad happened. That's why my appointment as the new president was decided. My brother-in-law felt the same as my sister, humbly suggesting that if they were to entrust the company they started together to someone, it had to be me. Ever since we first met, I felt you had a similar aura to me. You may hold a lower position, but you have real talent. Please take this on. Unable to refuse under such circumstances, I resolved to become the new president. This was communicated only to the executives, and those who didn't know I was their brother were surprised. But having been informed by my sister and brother-in-law, they accepted my new role as president. However, Joan had no way of knowing this. Even if I told him the truth, he would have dismissed it as a lie, so I didn't think it mattered much. This party was meant to officially announce me, a family member of the former president, as the new president, and to celebrate the full recovery of my brother-in-law. But since the new president was turned away, the plan was disrupted, and instead, it became a place to denounce Joan. Especially as my brother-in-law, who was just recovering from illness, was not fully aware of the situation, and became even angrier. While on the phone with Joan, I opened my messaging app and saw a text from my sister. "Come back immediately." I got up and left the room. I had booked a hotel near the venue, so I ordered room service coffee in my room. Therefore, I was able to return to the venue immediately. I had to go right away, or else not only Johan, but also I might be reprimanded. Sorry to keep you waiting. As I entered the venue, everyone's eyes were on me. It was my first time receiving so much attention. Somewhat nervously, I headed towards my sister. "If you're here, so what about this fool?" There was my sister, smiling frighteningly, and my brother-in-law with an angry expression. John was trembling like a frightened deer. "Wait, this is a joke, right? Someone incompetent like George can't be the new president. What are you saying? He's our brother." But he is. How dare you refer to the new president like that?" My brother-in-law's angry shouts echoed through the venue. Despite having just recovered, his anger was impressive. That's when Joan finally apologized to me. I'm sorry. His apology might have been due to his confusion, but it didn't seem sincere. Above all, his eyes remained glaring at me. "No need for apologies. I have no intention of forgiving you." Without looking at Joan, who was offering an apology, I responded and then smiled at my sister and her husband. "Sorry, guys. Don't worry about it. As the new president, you need to establish authority. So, President, what will you do with Johan?" It seemed my sister and brother-in-law were giving me a chance to say something to Johan before they made their decision. I nodded with a smile and turned to Johan. "Johan, I have a lot to say to you. Of course, I was angry about being called an incompetent with low education. I paused for a moment before continuing, but what angers me most is your attempt to involve my daughter." At this, the room buzzed, and everyone looked at Johan with disdain. Many attendees had daughters of their own age, so they likely understood my feelings. Johan's face turned pale as he looked around frantically. "No, it's not like that. I mean, so what do you mean? I heard you said you'd train her into a good woman." "No, it's impossible for a man in his late 30s like you to get my lovely niece," my sister confronted him. "Oh, and George isn't a high school graduate," she added. "What?" Joan looked confused. "That's right. We should clear that up too. Contrary to what Joan had been insulting me with, I'm not a high school graduate. I did go to high school here, but for college I went abroad." "Abroad? But you said you weren't a college graduate." "That was just your misunderstanding. You were harping on about some universities, but I didn't think telling you the truth would make any difference. You could have easily found out about my background with a little research." How careless. Joan's eyes widened at my words. My sister and brother-in-law thought it was important for me to study business abroad, so they sent me to an overseas university right after high school. Well, I don't boast about my education like someone I know. No, that's impossible. You are uneducated. Really, you just don't get it, to you. Didn't you want to know that I wasn't uneducated? I questioned. John bit his lip, then my brother-in-law stepped forward. We will consider this matter thoroughly. Don't expect to work as you have been until now. In his words, Joan's shoulders slumped. Then George, as the new president, could you give a speech? Of course. I gave my speech as the new president in front of everyone and left. Opening the door at home, my beloved wife and daughter were waiting. Welcome back. Congratulations on becoming president, Dad, my daughter exclaimed. I'm glad you worked so hard, my wife added. Thank you. I had a lot of delicious food at the party, but nothing beats my wife's home cooking and the beer poured by my daughter. Feeling happy, I remembered the past. I started having special feelings for Jessica during high school. I was struggling with the prospect of exams. I aspired to study economics and management, admiring my sister and brother-in-law. You should do what you love, my sister always told me, but I was determined in my decision. However, feeling burdened when my brother-in-law and sister offered to pay for my education abroad, I felt like I was relying too much on them. That's why I thought I should work and save money before going abroad. So, I discussed it with Jessica. I'm always too dependent, aren't I? Not at all. You're amazing. But always relying on my sister and brother-in-law. Then Jessica took my hands and looked straight into my eyes. That's not true. Going abroad will give you the chance to acquire skills different from your sister and brother-in-law. Don't be modest. I wish I could protect my sister someday. Don't worry. First, let's meet the expectations of your sister and brother-in-law. Jessica was the one who comforted and supported me when I felt hesitant and unsure. She always gave me kind words, and gradually she became a very special person to me. Encouraged by Jessica and my siblings, I decided to go to a university abroad. But going abroad meant making her wait. When I told her to find her own happiness, she slapped me. Idiot, do I look like that kind of woman to you? I'll wait for you until you come back, and don't you dare cheat. She stayed in touch, supporting me while I was abroad. The university abroad was totally different from the universities here. I pulled many all-nighters and struggled to gain skills before returning home. Welcome back. Those were Jessica's words when I proposed to her, and we happily got married. Then she gave birth to our daughter, Sarah. Thank you, Jessica. For what? Suddenly for talking to my sister. It helped me get back at him, so of course, I can't tolerate anyone hurting you and our daughter, Jessica said with a smile. After the party, I decided to tell Jessica and Sarah about the ordeal since I had worried them. That old man was after me. Yogros. I can't believe it. You got him good. They were both shaking with anger. But Dad, you still protected me even though it put you in a bad spot, right? Thank you. Sarah thanked me. I might be the new president, but my brother-in-law still has more authority due to the handover work. When I went to the department where I had worked, John wasn't there. It seemed John really wasn't capable at his job. Looking at his computer, there were only signs of him surfing the internet. Above all, I was appalled to find that he had been reading pirated comics. I was shocked at his lack of morals. Ironically, this led to the implementation of stricter security software, which might be something to be thankful for. I decided to ask my brother-in-law about John's situation. John was originally in another company. He got himself into trouble by pushing work onto subordinates, stealing credit, and causing problems with women. He had an affair with a co-worker, which was discovered by her husband, leading to a scandal and his inability to stay at his previous company. He left under the guise of voluntary resignation and applied to our company's mid-career recruitment program. My brother-in-law usually attends interviews, but was absent due to illness at that time, so John's past wasn't fully vetted. Because of this, the information about John wasn't properly communicated. An excellent man like me would naturally be headhunted by this company. I came here on my own accord, even though the former president tried to retain me. John boasted like that, but it was all lies, which was a letdown to learn. When my brother-in-law inquired about John's previous company, almost only negative things came up. They said him being good is just absurd. Frankly, we were overjoyed when he left. It's rare for someone to be spoken about in such terms. In the end, my brother-in-law didn't immediately fire John, but decided to transfer him to a branch office. That meant he was now under my sister's jurisdiction, but the place John was assigned to was filled with highly educated people. John, with his so-called high education, couldn't get by there. Having always pushed his work onto others, he lacked experience and was constantly getting criticized. Hey, John is not coming anymore, hooray! Seeing the juniors cheering made me realize how much trouble I had caused them. However, it was only a matter of time before John would resign. I am highly educated. Even with his boasting, his new assignment was meaningless. So what? In that sense, I graduated from a top university. I studied abroad. I don't boast about it, but can you please get to work? I'm your supervisor who you look down on as just a high school graduate, but in this company, if you work hard and gain experience, you're valued. Education doesn't matter here. Days of getting such responses, and the news about him targeting my daughter leaking out made it unbearable for him. If colleagues and superiors didn't work out, he started hitting on women with lower education than him. Hey, if you date me, I'll help you with your work. Just be nice to me. The day he made such an advance, he was immediately called out by everyone. What? That's not okay in this day and age. I'll sue you. Also, it's creepy for an older man like you to ask me out. John faced angry reactions every time he tried to approach the female employees. Eventually cornered, John started missing work without notice, and finally, a resignation letter was mailed to the branch office. He couldn't endure it anymore. His previous ways didn't work, and being ignored and logically defeated was too much for him. Putting someone who only boasts about their education in a place full of highly educated people is the best. They self-destruct on their own. My sister's strategy was impressive. That's how John was successfully ousted from the company. A few months later, during a family dinner, we were walking home when I saw a man with greasy, unkempt hair and shabby clothes. His eyes were bloodshot, and I almost looked away, but then I noticed he was muttering something. It's all your fault because of you all. Wondering what he meant, my sister suddenly exclaimed, John. Yes, it was John. I didn't recognize him at first, because his appearance had completely changed, but it was John. He must have had a tough time since leaving the job. He had aged so much that he looked more like an old man than me. Feeling an ominous premonition from his clearly unwell state, he suddenly shouted, It's all because of you. You ruined my life. Then he lunged at my sister, who was leading the way. Instinctively, I stepped forward, grabbed John's arm, and threw him over my shoulder with a classic wrestling move. It was a moment where the skills my sister had drilled into me came in handy. As I looked down, John was writhing in pain and unconscious. I was glad to have protected my family, but using my skills on a civilian could hurt them a lot, so I was sweating internally. The police were called later, but my sister and witnesses explained the situation, and it was deemed self-defense against a grudge. You did well. Thank you. I felt relieved and confident that I could protect my sister and her family. Jessica was worried about me, but Sarah was excited, cheering, Good job, Dad. Upon checking with the police later, it turned out that John had caused other problems as well, leading to him receiving a prison sentence. To prevent anything like that from happening again, I moved to a more secure house. With hard work and sweat, Sarah got accepted into a university. Indeed, it was a tough path due to the university being at the forefront, but I'm truly glad that my daughter's efforts were rewarded. While embracing my weeping daughter, we all rejoiced. Then Sarah was set to leave home for university. We will miss Sarah, Jess, but it's a joyous beginning for her. Let's wholeheartedly celebrate. That's true. Though it felt lonely to have one less light in the house, we sent off Sarah, who was waving from the train with a radiant smile. Now I must firmly take on my role as the new president. I am grateful to my strict sister, my kind brother-in-law, Jessica, who supports me wholeheartedly, and my daughter, Sarah, more precious than life itself. I am reminded to be thankful for all the people who have supported me and made me who I am today.